All right, so let me give a brief introduction and then we can get on to the presentation. Okay, hi everyone, and hi all students who will be viewing this. Thank you so much for attending the Student Senate Making a Voting Plan session. We have a special guest here with us, Township Clerk Leon Wright. And so we thank you so much, sir, for you being able to speak with the students today and provide information and resources for students to be more effective voters. And so if Mr. Wright, if you want to speak a little bit about your career and what you've done as the township clerk for the Van Buren Township, that would be great.
Okay. Again, thanks for you all for having me. I'm really excited to talk to you all today because this is very important. It's a very important voting year, probably one of the most important voting years of our maybe of our life because of the things that's going on in the country right now, the disenfranchisement and voting, the 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 issues that voters have in regard to their public officials and most basically the people that's leading us right now. We are in an area now that we've never been in before, and I think it's going to be determined about who you vote for this election. With that being said, my name is Leon Wright. I'm the township clerk for Van Buren Township. It's a township of about 31,000 residents with 22,000 registered voters. I was first elected in 2008, along with one of my idols, which is President Obama, who I think is the greatest president I've had in my lifetime, that I had the honor of voting for. With that being said, in regards to voting, I've streamlined a lot of things in the clerk office since I've been my 12 year. This is my 12-year tenure of being a clerk in Michigan. I am on the ballot for re-election because I think this is more that can be done in regards to voting. A lot has been done, and I have been on the cutting edge to spearhead a lot of changes that has happened in Michigan. One of the changes that's recently happened a couple years ago is no reason absentee voting. This is one of the major misconceptions in Michigan is that we don't have early voting. I know you hear on the media, you hear and vote early, get out, voting early has started, but we don't have per se early voting. We have what you call absentee voting, which can be used as early voting. Your vote doesn't, you can vote, but that ballot won't be counted until election day. In Michigan, we have what you call absentee counting boards that counts all the ballots on election day starting at 7 a.m. that morning. Last week, the legislature did approve a bill that allowed us to start prepping the day before. So prepping means that we can open the ballots, get them ready, and get them prepped to be counted on election day, which is starting 7 a.m. November 3rd. So with that being said, prepping for the election, when we're talking about making a plan, getting ready to vote, first of all, I tell my residents to be prepared. I already know, call your election official, which is whether it's your township clerk, whoever it may be, find out where your precinct is. And when you find out where your precinct, you know where to go that day. But I've been encouraging everyone to vote absentee because with that being said, by voting absentee, you don't have to be worried about long lines. And I know there's been a lot of media play discouraging absentee voting, but I'm here to tell you that absentee voting is one of the most secure way of voting that out there, especially in Michigan. Michigan is one of the 8 states that elections are ran by the local township and municipal clerks. Like myself, I'm what you call a township clerk. You have city clerks and you have village clerks. In Michigan, we run the elections. So Michigan and 7 other states in the union is the only states that runs election on the local level. So we have a lot of checks and balances in place. Matter of fact, I think Michigan is probably leads the bar when it comes to checks and balances. When you hear the Secretary of State say we are very secure with our checks and balances, that means she's telling the truth. We are. When I say checks and balances, I mean we have multiple vendors doing multiple things in regards to voting. We have a vendor that prints the ballot. We have a vendor that programs the tabulators. We have a vendor that programs the electronic poll books, which collects, have all your data in it. You go to a poll, you'll see a person sitting there with a laptop, and they pull your name up. It indicates what precincts and that you are located in, where you're supposed to vote. So those are the checks and balances that we have in Michigan. Now, other states that don't run elections on the local level, it may be, I ain't gonna say maybe, there is some issues. We know it's issues in states like Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, Texas. Uh, a lot of those red states, especially because states are ran by the Secretary of State, are the state board of elections. When that's being said, that's one person in charge of everything. That person is in charge of every vendor that has anything to do with the elections. So when you have one person in charge of everything, then things can be manipulated. But like I said, in Michigan, you have multiple vendors doing different things. So in order to manipulate an election, you have to have control of all of those vendors, and that's just not possible. You know what I'm saying? So that's why Michigan voting is very secure. We have bipartisan clerks that we all support the same thing. We all supported No Reason AV. We supported registration online, which yesterday was the last day that you could register online. But yesterday wasn't the last day that you could register. So I want everyone to know that they passed a new law has been passed that you can indicating that you can register up and including the day of election. So you can walk into your clerk office on the day of election, register to vote, and vote the same day. So a lot of things has transformed, especially in Michigan, in order for the constituents and our voters to make sure their vote count and their voices be heard. I'm gonna take a brief break here. So if you have any question regarding anything I just said, feel free to go ahead and to ask me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Wright. I did have a few follow-up questions. One of them would be, in my time as like an early, I mean, this would be maybe my third, my first general election, but presidential election, but from voting in the primaries and such, I haven't seen too many ballot drop off boxes until this election year. So my question to you is, are ballot drop off boxes secure? I know we've heard in the news recently people trying to sabotage those boxes by lighting them on fire or even making fake boxes. So how do like the townships and like state and the governments kind of mitigate those things?
Yeah. Well, my township box, I have two, one right inside the lobby and one outside of the township hall in the front and in the parking lot. Both are, I feel, very safe. We've been utilizing them for years. Plus, we have cameras that's a police surveillance that controls the parking lot. I can't say that no one may not try to do something, but I know that if they do, they will be apprehended because they would be caught on tape. So I feel that our Dropbox are very secure because of that, and I put that message out there so people know if you try to do tamper with our Dropbox, you are being recorded and you will be apprehended, and that's a federal crime. So We haven't had that issue. We are what, 2 weeks out today from the election. So far, we haven't had that issue. I haven't had that issue in 12 years. I know this is an unprecedented year. We never. I'm not gonna say no. What might not. No one might not try to do this year after someone just tried to apprehend the governor. I'm not gonna say no to anything. So just I feel they are safe. And most drop boxes that I know of in Michigan are normally located in front of the township halls or the city halls. I don't know. I don't know where they all are in Detroit, but I'm pretty sure they are somewhere where they are being some type of surveillance is being recorded in regards to that. So
Thank you.
I would say they're pretty safe. Yeah, I know mines are. So
For sure, for sure. I know this may be, I'm going to try to clear up a few misconceptions that people may have about the voting experience. So one of them is, let's say, if the polls close while you are in line, can you still vote?
if you in line and the polls close, you can vote as long as there's someone in line after 8 p.m. We cannot close that poll until everyone in line has voiced their opinion, voiced their vote.
Awesome.
That's a law. So
Awesome.
you wouldn't, yeah, you can vote.
Great, 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 great. Another question I had is, let's say you're a voter with a disability. What are some of the accommodations that the polling places have for those individuals to
Right.
exercise their vote?
Every polling place is by law has to have a ADA compliance, which they have to have machinery that compliance to the disabled, and that must be in every precinct.
For sure. Thank you. So another question is, if you're not on the list of registered voters when you show up to the polling location, what can you do to make sure
If
you
you
can still vote?
in Vanburen Township, if someone show up to the poll and they're not on the list, our poll workers has been instructed to call the clerk office, which is they will call the clerk office and we will see what's going on. And like I said, if they're not on the road, then let's say for some reason they're not registered, we would inform them to send them that person to the clerk's office so we can get them registered. And like I just said, they can register and vote that same day at the clerk office.
For sure, for sure. And let's say you show up to the polling location and and you're not registered to vote, could you be issued a provisional ballot?
You can, you can, if you can be issued a provisional ballot, but I would suggest to anyone that's if they're not showing on the register as a registered voter, they're not showing on the record to do what I just stated at first to have that poll worker contact the clerk office so they can be registered and so they can count. A provisional ballot could be issued, but a provisional ballot would only be counted in regards to if it's once it's canvas and you go to the the ballots are canvas, and that if that race is too close to be determined by the amount of votes, then those provisional ballots those ballots would be open at that point, and then they would be deemed whether they're valid. Their validity will be deemed by the state board of registers, and determined at that time. It
Right.
won't be put into the ballot. We can't put it through the tabulator that night at the polls.
Mhm.
It'll have to be stored and put in an envelope and sent down to the Wayne County Clerk office, and they would determine that at a later date. So that's how a provisional ballot works. If you want to make sure your vote is counted that day, with the new laws in place, the first provision that I gave you would be the best way to go. That way you can go to the clerk office, you can get registered, be put in the QBF, which is qualified voter file, and vote, and that way your vote account that same day.
For sure. Thank you. Thank you. Another question I had was, let's say if there's some harassment or coercion at the polls. Are poll workers trained and instructed on how to navigate through those issues?
Yes, we're training our poll workers not to engage anyone. If you have someone that's being irrational, which we probably will have some of that this coming election, to call us or call our dispatcher, which is 699-8930, and get a police officer over there. Normally, once a police officer shows up, they kind of mitigates the situation. And the police officer will call me, and I will come to that precinct along with the police officer and handle the situation. We don't encourage our workers to engage in any fashion. Be the one that's being, uh, this could maybe cause them any harm. We just would tell them to stand by, make the necessary phone call and tell them that someone will be coming to address their concern.
Absolutely, because safety is the number one priority, right?
Safety is the number one concern.
Absolutely. So another question I had was, how can students or youth voters get involved with the elections?
Students can get involved by volunteer. Well, I say volunteer, but we pay. City pays, we pay workers. We're always looking for workers to work the elections. Get involved, work the election. Look for a clerk office that's offering some type of uh, internship, which is like I told you, I offered Stuart. That's what Stuart Baum did when he worked for me. Uh, get involved with organizations, legal, whether it's the League of Women Voters or whatever type of organization, or Democratic, Republican Party, or whatever your status is. I highly recommend you get involved with those organizations and challenge, your cause. Uh, and also, like you said, you told me you vote primary. Vote primaries. Vote every election. Don't just wait on the presidential election. I know everyone normally comes out and vote the primary election, but get involved in all the elections. Get to know who your local officials. Your local officials, believe it or not, affects your day-to-day life more than the president, the governor, the representative. I'm not saying their job's not important, but they make laws that's passed down to your local jurisdiction. And your locals, if they don't do the best things that best represent your constituency, then they're not doing you any good. For instance, the main things like your public safety, your level of uh, your taxes, your water bill, your trash pickup, all those things are determined by your local officials. So the main things that you pay, which is for your public safety, your taxes, your day-to-day operations, those ordinances and things like that, those are determined by your local official. They're not they're not decided in Lansing. They decided right there in your township or your city by your township board or your city your local city council. That's who makes those decisions. So you need to get involved and know who sits on those commissions and those boards and find out, do they best are they making the decision that best represents you? Because if they're not, then you need to make that decision in the next election to find someone to replace them. That's the biggest issue that I see. Let's go to the highest ranking person in the country, which is the president. You know, and I'm just gonna get right to it. We have a lot of people that say, well, Obama was president for 8 years. What did he do? Well, he did what he was able to do based on the support that he had. We voted him in office in 2008. Then we turned around in 2010. We forgot about the senators and the House of Representatives that has to pass whatever he promotes. So remember, that bill, whatever bill is manifested, it has to pass the House and then voted by has to pass the Senate. But if you were controlled by the opposite party, which you were in control both terms of his election, then you kind of, your hands are tied. You can only do executive orders, which the ACA was put together through an executive order. That's why it was only can be overturned by Supreme Court, and they are looking to do that now. So remember, I saw a YouTube video. This rapper up in, I don't know who he was, but he wasn't a well known rapper, but he was rapping about how important the legislative, know your legislative branches, and know he said once you vote for the president, don't stop there. Vote for your senators and your House of Representatives, because that's who determine, what goes on, not only in the federal level, but look at the state. You have our governor, prime example. Our governor Whitmer right now that's doing everything she can do to keep us safe, and the opposite party are trying to take away everything that she does. They fight her and take it to court, saying that she don't have the power to do it. That's because she don't, we're not control, the Democratic don't control the House and the Senate in Lansing. So she has issues with anything she tries to do because she don't have the support of the legislative body. So that's the main thing. It's not only just voting the ticket for the president, but we need to also vote for the local officials and the judges. Go Google your judges and find out what is their history, what did they do when they was attorneys, and what's their background, and have they worked to oppress voting, or how they always supported voting and things like that. You know what I mean? So those are the things that I would suggest that you do especially as a young adult, get involved and learning, make it your business to educate yourself about your constituency and voting. Don't just listen to whatever you hear on the media, because some of the media gets it wrong. They're not election officials. If you really want to know the correct information regarding elections, I tell everyone, do what you just did. Contact me or your election official in your area, but they're the one that knows the law. We are, you gotta understand, we're sworn in every 4 years. I raise my right hand and I'm sworn in to carry out the laws of the state of Michigan in regards to election. So the state board of election puts the laws together, and we are in charge of manifesting them, making sure that they're carried out. And so we're in charge of, we have to know, and we have to be we're kept up to date at every change that's made, whether it's weekly, monthly, however, whatever new bill that comes out, we have to make sure we're on top of that, to make sure we know what changes has just happened in elections. So we know. And like I said, the biggest misconception right now is early voting. We don't have early voting in Michigan, but you can go in and vote absentee, which is considered casting your ballot early. You can cast your ballot early, but you're not really voting, because your ballot won't be counted until election day. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Another clarifying question is regarding, let's say, if English is not your native language, and you may need some assistance from another a person to come assist you. That voter can request in-person assistance from a person of their choosing, like a family member or friend. Is that true?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Most places that has that high demographic, which I know the clerk from Hamtramck.
Mm-hmm.
Hamtramck has a high density of a lot of different ethnic background groups.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to make sure that his ballot has to be engaged in each ethnic group, which I do too. And anyone that needs to have that concern, we have to make sure that we have that.
Absolutely. And so that brings up a point of mine about, our democracy really means inclusion, and how can we include all these other demographics of people who need these other maybe voting assistants, just to make sure they can exercise their right to vote. And so part of that inclusion is now we're in this virtual environment. How can we be able to provide training for individuals who are poll workers, or about voter education in these virtual formats so they're accessible for people? So, like things we're doing right here, making this voter education accessible for students. But as far as training for poll workers, is there such like a virtual training that has been put out by any uh, clerk's office or city office? Because that's something I've definitely tried to look for, and would be interested in implementing.
Yeah, I don't. I haven't seen any virtual training per se for the election because you know if this lasts too much longer, I'm pretty sure we have to do something. But I haven't seen anything that's virtual because you have to have. There's a lot of preparation in regards to making sure they're safe when we by training them. We're training right now. When I mean that we cut back on how many we can train. They gave us a new schedule of
Mm-hmm.
COVID-19 rules. How many
Mm-hmm.
we can train on one given day. Have to make sure that we're going to have so many in the room per square feet because we have to train them on the equipment. That's the only hard part about virtual with training for to vote to work the elections. We have equipment that they have to be trained on, and it'll be kind of hard to virtually give them that one-on-one training, on the machinery, uh, using a virtual concept. That hasn't been nothing has been brought, that hasn't been adhered to, and we thought about it. My staff and I, we talked about it. And I would find that to be very hard to do right now because you just wouldn't be able to give them the one-on-one training, you know, with the tabulator and the laptop and the high-speed counting machinery that they would have to be using once they come into the precinct to work. Uh, what the state has been concentrating on is making sure that we provide all the necessary PPE that we can, and make sure that we follow the guidelines that are given to us by the state health department and the CDC, and make sure we keep them safe. We did it. We had precincts that was open in August, and we was pretty successful. Well, we were very successful. We didn't have not one incident, which was great. But with the reason why the Secretary of State did what she did in regards to sending everyone absentee application. Let's get that straight. She didn't send anyone absentee ballots like the president said.
Mm-hmm.
She sent out absentee applications. It's against the law to send out an unsolicited ballot to anyone. That's against the
Mm-hmm.
law. So, but it's not against the law to send out applications. Application has to be filled out and say yes, I want to request an absentee ballot.
Right.
So when the application get to your mailbox or your home, you have a choice to make. Do I want to vote absentee, or do I want to tear it up and go to the poll? So you don't have to vote absentee. So that's a choice that she was giving each constituent based on the arena that we're in, the COVID environment. She was giving them a choice to try to keep them safe and keep them avoid from going to the polls and putting themselves at risk, especially the elderly. So
Mm-hmm.
they had a choice to make, and I think people made that choice, and it's overwhelming. Like you said, over 2 million people has voted already in the state of Michigan. For instance, I had 20. I mentioned I have 22,000 registered voters. I'm over to the 10,000 mark right now. So
Wow.
I'm looking at having half of my registered voters already have voted
Right.
come election day on the 3rd. I'm pretty sure we're going to reach that threshold,
Well,
and that's going to be something that's unheard of, never happened before in the state of Michigan, where you have those many people exercising their right to vote. But that tells you, don't that tell that just that
Yeah.
give you some indication of how people want a difference, they want some type of a multiple choice of voting,
Mm-hmm.
and that gives them a choice whether I can get a ballot, take it home, sit at my kitchen table, vote as a family, discuss the issues, vote it, drop it off in the drop box, and vote absentee. That's a choice that should have been allowed years ago. It
Yeah.
should have been something that was should have been automatic. If you have the right to vote, whether you vote at a poll or absentee, should have been your right from the beginning. That's my belief.
For sure. Absolutely. Well, yeah, that's awesome. So I really appreciate your input on that. And I have one final closing question before maybe there's any other questions from any other attendees. But the question I was going to ask is it appropriate for people to ask individuals about voting, like their friends or their peers, and like if
Yeah.
so, like how what are the best practices on how to approach those conversations, especially now?
Oh yeah. I mean, anytime you want to, you can talk to anyone you want to regarding the election. Only thing they ask you not to once you get into the polling booth, the polling arena, not to have a conversation with with someone in the next booth or something like that from that point. But as as you as constituents, you and your friends, yeah, you can get together and have election parties and talk about the issues and all you want. I mean, it's nothing wrong with that. I mean, matter of fact, we encourage that. You know.
Definitely, definitely. And some I have some best practices here for how to initiate those conversations. So, one thing to possibly say is a simple question of, are you voting uh, on election day, or are you voting absentee? Maybe initiating those type of questions, and then following up on why voting is important to you, using those I feel type of phrases, and then following up is always great. So following up with the people that you care about, or friends or family, about how you can help them make a voting plan and such like that. But starting those conversations are great for everyone. So that is everything that I had on my list. And Obioma, if you had any questions that you had for Mr. Wright, feel free to ask.
I think his
I
mic
think
is
he's
still.
still he's doing. Oh, he's put something in the chat, I think. Okay, he doesn't have anything. All right. Well, do you have any closing remarks, Mr. Wright, before we finish for today?
Uh, I would just say, however you decide that you want to vote on election day, just make sure you get out and vote. Make sure your voice be heard. But believe me, every vote do count, and every vote will be counted. Whether it's Tuesday night or sometime Wednesday, your vote will be counted. It depends on the area. Some areas, like I just like the city of Detroit, you have to understand. You have to understand they have 252 precincts. That's going to be a lot of absentee voting going on. I know Janice Winfrey well. She's a great clerk, but she will make sure that all the votes get counted. And that would be my departing words is that make sure you vote because this is one year that you need to vote like your life depends on it because it
Right.
probably does. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Wright. And we hope to see you again in Wayne State Student Senate. Really appreciate you taking the time and consideration to be here to speak with our students today.
Thank you.
All right.